My name's Nathan Gray, and today I come to talk to you about Dr. James Sims. Now, Dr. James Sims was born here in South Carolina in 1813. We have a building named after him in Women's Quad called the Sims Building. Now, he was known as the father of gynecology. So this man did a lot for the gynecology field. Now, those who don't know, gynecology is the study of the female reproductive system. So he founded a lot of stuff that we still use today and was called the father of gynecology for a reason. So he founded the speculum, which is called the Sims speculum, and that's still used today as a tool used. So he did a lot for the field, but in the wrong way. He was a very bad person. He did a lot of things that ethically, especially today, we think are wrong. And even back then it was wrong too. So a little bit about him. He first started testing on slaves, which was common practice back then, but doesn't make it right. So he wanted to find a cure for fistula patients, which is the connection of the uterus, and it could be the bladder or other things, and it would be a leakage or a discharge. So this was pretty common in especially African American slaves, because they would have a bunch of kids, and that could happen with having kids, and it'd be a problem with labor. So he would just, anytime he wanted to find a cure or need someone to test on, he would just buy a slave. And these people were slaves. They didn't have a choice in the matter. So he would just operate on them. And he didn't just operate on them once. He didn't buy one, operate on them, or rent one, operate on them, and let them go. He'd operate on them for up to 20 surgeries. And on top of that, he wouldn't even use anesthesia. So this man would buy people, force them to get surgery, and then on top of that, they wouldn't be given anything to numb the pain. They'd just be on all fours while he's doing surgery up to 20 times. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that's inhumane. And it's not even a question. I mean, this man did some messed up stuff. And I don't know how you can look at me in a straight face and tell me that this man deserves a building named after him. But let's go, what else did he do? There are 3 women that we know of that we have names of in his research. One of which was Lucy, which he almost killed after a surgery. The other 2's names were as follow: Anarchia and Betsy. There are at least a dozen more women that we know of, but these are the only 3 that we know their names of. So again, he'd operate on these people up to 20 times. And in his records, he never even said, they would never follow up. Like, he told us that he was successful, but in his records, they never came back. So we really don't know if the operation was actually successful. So potentially a lot of the stuff he did may not have been right, even though he did do a lot for the field. He also experimented on enslaved infants. So he was trying to find a cure of neonatal tetanus, which is let me check real quick. Oh, it's a life-threatening disease, but it's vaccine preventable now. But back then it was a serious problem. It's a bacterial infection for newborns. And it could be, the newborn could potentially die. So to help with this, he thought that it had to do with the shape of the baby's skull. So he took a pointed tool and would pierce holes in the skull to try to realign it. And that was fatal. So he would poke a baby's head with a pointy metal thing to try to move their skull, and would kill them. So not only did he perform on enslaved African American women without anesthesia, and they would go under immense pain, he also would kill the babies of these women. I mean, how can you do that? I can't even understand like what goes through a person's mind. At least 10,000 people have signed a petition currently to rename the Sims device, or the speculum, to Lucy, which was the woman that he almost killed in surgery, and one of the 3 women that we know of today. And Dr. Kalim Phillips, an OBGYN in New York City, she's been calling it Lucy for I think up to 20 years now, as long as she's been in the practice. And I agree with her. This man he did a lot of good things for the field, but the wrongs outweigh the rights. You cannot look at me with a straight face and say, who cares what happened to them people? Because that makes you inhumane. Anyone with a conscience cares about them people, and he should have cared about them too. You can't operate on these people without anesthesia, without their permission, and be okay with that. They went through immense pain, they went through immense struggle, and he killed babies and almost killed these women. That's all I have to say. If you can't agree with me on this, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, thank you for listening to me, and I hope you have a blessed day.